We're going to look at another application of stacks, matching parenthesis. What is the matching parenthesis problem and where does it come in? The matching parenthesis problem is the following. You have, let's say, different kinds of parentheses. The different kinds of parentheses can be something like these are different types of parentheses. And the matching parenthesis problem, you're interested in the following thing. You're given a string of parentheses. You're given a string of parentheses, and you want to say whether it has a matching parenthesis. What do I mean by that? I will show you with a few examples what do I mean by matching parenthesis. So in the first example, this represents a matching parenthesis. So in the matching parenthesis, there's an open bracket and a closing bracket. This is good. This is something which we would like to. So this is, what about this? Just one. Our string consists of just one open parenthesis. This is not matching because there is no closing parenthesis, right? So this is not a matching parenthesis. This is again correct. What about this? Is this a matching parenthesis? No. This is not. You can see why, right? Because, so this should have been here. Only then it would have been matching parenthesis. So right now this is not matching parenthesis. What about this? This is again correct because both the parentheses are matched here. This is not. Let's look at one more example. This is again correct. I guess you understand what are the examples of matching parentheses, right? Now you are interested in writing an algorithm which takes in a string like this and it's going to say whether the parentheses are matched or not. That is, it's a tick or a cross. You need to identify that. That's the function you are interested in. Let's see how to solve this matching parenthesis by taking an example. Let's consider the following example. And as you could see, this, what should it return? Should this return a tick or a cross? Are the parentheses matched here? The parentheses are not matched here. Why? This bracket, this closing bracket should have been the last. Okay, if it was there, this would have been correct. So right now, this is wrong. Okay, but this is the input string we got, and we want to check. We want to write a function which takes care of, which checks whether all the brackets are matched in the string or not. What is it we are going to use? Are we going to use some data structure to solve this thing? Yeah, obviously. So we are looking at stacks, and you might have guessed we are going to use stacks for this. What is it we need to do, right? The only thing we can push are, we have brackets and we're going to push brackets, right? And we're going to push, so keep in mind, we're going to push open brackets. What are the open brackets? So these are open brackets, right? So these are open brackets. These three are open brackets. On the other hand, these three are closing brackets. Our algorithm is going to do the following. It's going to first, whenever it sees an open bracket, it's going to push it into the stack. So our pointer initially is here, right? So it's going to push the open bracket into the stack, right? Next thing it's going to do is that it's going to go forward. It sees the next letter, that's an opening bracket, and it's going to push that into the stack. It goes forward, it sees another opening bracket and it pushes that into the stack. The next thing it sees a closing bracket. This is where it needs to do the following. It checks whether the closing bracket corresponds to the opening bracket which is on top of the stack. So this is the most important check, is the following. So when it sees a closing bracket, it checks if the closing bracket matches the top of the stack bracket. Right now, what is the top of the stack bracket right now? Top of the stack bracket is this is the top, and what is the closing bracket we are seeing, right? And do they match? They match. So what it just does is it's going to pop out the top of the stack bracket. We just pop out, and then we go to look at the next point in the string, and that is again a closing bracket. So what does it we need to do when we see a closing bracket? When we see a closing bracket, we check should match this, right? And right now, what do we have? The top of the bracket is this is the top, and what is the letter we are looking at? What is the bracket we are looking at? The closing bracket we are looking at is, so this is the closing bracket we are looking at. Now, do they match? They don't match. Therefore, we are going to return false, which means it corresponds to this. That is, it's not a match. So in this case, you're going to return false. Let's look at another example. What do? We put the first point in the string, and it's an opening bracket, push it into the stack. We go to the next point, it's a closing bracket. We check whether the top of the stack, which is right now this, is matches with the current symbol, which is the closing bracket, and do they match? They match. So good. So since they match, I'm going to remove pop out the opening bracket. And now the stack is empty. We move to the next element, right? The next symbol in the string, and that's a closing bracket. What does it we need to do? The closing bracket, we are supposed to look at the top of the stack, and we are supposed to see a matching bracket, matching opening bracket. We are supposed to see it on top of the stack, but right now it's an empty stack, and there's no top of the stack symbol, and hence we should return false in this case again. And as you could see, it's correct, right? The parentheses are not matched here because there is no opening bracket for this square bracket. So let's look at this example. What does it happens first? We are here, we see an opening bracket pushed into the stack. We go to the next element, an opening bracket pushed into the stack. We go to the next element, it's a closing bracket. When you see a closing bracket, what is it you need to do? You need to pop out the opening bracket, but after checking whether they form a match. And they form a match here, and therefore you pop it out. Next thing, you go here, you see again a closing bracket, and sorry, what do you do when you see a closing bracket? You check what is the top of the stack and does it match to the symbol you are seeing? Yes, in this case it does, and therefore you just pop it out again. Now move to the next symbol. The next symbol is again an opening bracket, push it inside the stack. Go to the next symbol, it's a closing bracket, therefore just pop out the top of the stack, but after checking whether it form a match. And now there's nothing, no more input to see. Therefore now you say we are going to return true in this case, right? We return true in this case because things have been matched. Every bracket has been matched. What happens if so just have one more example with just I have, this is my string, right? We have one more opening bracket, and now in this case, what do? After I finish this entire bracket, I move to the next string, next symbol, and I'm going to push that into the stack, and it's over. There's no more symbols to see. And in this case, what do? We're going to return false now, right? Because that's not matched. So when do I return? So when do I return true and when do I return false in this case? So I return true only if the stack is empty. Once I finish seeing the entire string and the stack is empty, I say true. On the other hand, I see the entire string with the stack still contains some symbol, you're going to return false. Okay, so this is an application of parenthesis matching. And where does, okay, So we saw an application of stacks in parenthesis matching. But where do parenthesis matching comes up many places in, as you could, when you are writing your programs, etc., you might have noticed many places where you will have to write something like 2 plus 5 into 13 into 7, etc., etc., right? These are typical things, expressions, mathematical expressions you write in your program. And so first of all, you need to check whether the mathematical expressions are correct. Is it a valid expression? This is obviously not a valid expression. If you write something like into 7, and let me just make some wrong expression. So this is clearly not a valid mathematical expression, right? So now a, a computer program, the compiler, the C compiler, C++ compiler, the G++, or the GCC compiler, which we have been using, needs to check whether the parenthesis matched whenever it evaluates an expression. So only those expressions where parenthesis match should be evaluated, right? And so this is the first step. To do this parenthesis evaluation is the first step in on this compiler. Okay.